Two North Texas mayors talk about their top priorities after being elected to a second term. Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson.
I want a property tax rate reduction that's going to result in actual tax savings to our residents.
And Arlington Mayor Jim Ross.
Jobs, jobs, and jobs, to be honest with you.
I'm Jack Fink. Get your fix for Texas politics. Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas starts right now. We begin with Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson and his goals during a second term, which he won overwhelmingly last month. We spoke with him recently about the issues most important to him.
So here we are, the first month of your second term. And so I'm wondering, what are your top three priorities as your second term gets started?
Well, first, it's great to see you, Jack, and thanks for having me. I just got reelected with 98.7% of the vote, and I take that as a sign that the residents of Dallas are really unified behind the agenda that we laid out the last 4 years. So, I'm really, really excited to embark upon this second term. It technically starts on June 20th, but we've already started getting geared up for what I think is going to be a transformative 4 years for our city. Three things I want to do. I want to basically continue down a path in three areas that we've already been going down in the city. So the first one is public safety. My stated goal for our city is to become the safest big city in the United States. Secondly, I have a goal with respect to parks. I want Dallas to have the best park system of any city in the state of Texas. And then third, I want to make sure that we continue down the path of lowering our taxes. And I would like to see Dallas have the lowest tax rate of any city in the region. So again, to recap, if we do those three things, make Dallas the safest big city in the country, give us the best park system for our residents of any city in the state, and have the lowest tax rate of any city in the region, I think Dallas will be set up for decades of success.
So let's break those down. Let's tackle public safety first. As far as violent crime is concerned, I know as of May 1st, the latest numbers that I could find, murders were up about 24% from year to year. And so I'm wondering, I know that you've expressed obviously a lot of confidence in Chief Garcia and his efforts. So what do you make of this situation that the city is facing?
Well, it's complicated, Jack, when it comes to violent crime, because there's an overall violent crime rate that actually takes into account all forms of violent crime. And the overall violent crime rate in the city is down. But with respect to homicides specifically, here's what I'd tell everyone. Let's wait and see how this plays out, because we have lowered homicides year over year the past 2 years. And at this point in the year, in those previous 2 years, homicides were up, just like they are right now over the previous year. In other words, we've been a second half city when it comes to lowering homicides. And you really do have to wait until the end of the year to really know how we're going to shake out. And in the previous 2 years where we've lowered murders year over year, halfway through the year, which is roughly where we are, we were actually up over the previous year. So I'm still hopeful that we're going to end down in homicides and every form of violent crime. But let me say this, Jack, here's the real issue. Public safety has to be our number one priority, and it has been the past 4 years. That means to me, and over the next 4 years, we have to continue down that path. And there are two things we have to do. We have to build a new police training facility or a police academy, if you will, in this city. Hopefully we'll have money in the new bond program to help us do that. That's critical to recruiting and training quality police officers, which we need. And then we also need to secure our first responders' pensions. We've got to do something to make sure that the pension for our police officers and our firefighters is secure, so we can, again, recruit and retain the best of the best when it comes to police officers and firefighters. So we have a plan to improve public safety in the city. We've been doing it, and it's been successful.
With regards to the pensions, I know that the legislature, while you were there, passed legislation to help the city improve the situation with the pensions for firefighters and police officers. What's the latest on this and the latest concern?
Well, the latest concern is that we are up against a bit of a deadline, which is good. I think deadlines can focus people's attention. We are going to be sitting down with representatives from the police and firefighters associations, and of course, with folks who are representatives on those various boards, and also experts, people who are outside of City Hall, to put all the ideas on the table for how to make this pension secure. I have been very clear about the fact that this has to be resolved before I leave office. And I want to make sure that we never suffer in this city because we are not able to attract quality police officers because they are not sure that our pension will be there. A pension is a critical piece of recruiting a police officer because police officers start young. They start in their 20s, and after they've put in 30 years of work, they're only 50, 60 years old, and they are looking to that pension for security for their families. So we have to get this right, and we will. And so all ideas would be put on the table. But again, it's absolutely top of mind for me, and I've made a commitment to getting this fixed.
And what was the deadline?
Oh, well, by the time the next legislature meets, if we don't have a solution that we can take to the legislature in 2025, they'll try to solve our problem for us. And so we need to go to them by the 2025 legislative session with a plan for how we are going to bring the pension to a more solvent level.
Let's talk about parks. I know the city's rating recently increased and improved and is right behind Plano, which is the #1 city in Texas. So talk to us about your commitment on parks.
We need to build the Harold Simmons Park. We need to make that happen. That's a 250-acre park right in the middle of our city that if it is built the way we are envisioning it, it will be the envy of the nation. It's an opportunity like we've never really had before in our park system to have a park on a scale of the major parks in the country in terms of Central Park and some of the other Millennium Park in Chicago in terms of the size. But what's really critical about this park is the vision is to have amazing programming and have facilities at this park that would be the type of thing you would normally charge admission for, but it would be completely free. So we need to do Harold Simmons Park. We need to make sure that the Southern Gateway gets built. We need to make sure that Parkdale Lake gets built and open to the public. And we need to make sure that my greening czar, Garrett Boone, is successful in evaluating all of the city-owned land that's underutilized or unused right now and converts as many of those parcels to parkland, like neighborhood parks and pocket parks and pocket prairies. And so I'm on a big push to green up our city over the next 4 years. And I think we are well down the path of having a generational transformation in our city's park system. And so by the time we're finished, we ought to have the best park system in Texas. We should pass Plano for that spot, that #1 spot.
All right, so I wanted to ask you just about the greening czar. What is the deadline for him as far as getting these this list of city-owned property to you and to the city to get this worked out?
So the city manager generated a list, an inventory of all of the city-owned land. It's been handed over to Garrett Boone. He hasn't been given a firm deadline, but I did allocate $1.25 million of ARPA funds to his effort to come up with a process of evaluation to evaluate which parcels are best suited for conversion to parkland so we can get started as quickly as possible. What we don't want is to do things that residents actually won't use or don't want. The idea isn't to green up the city just to say you did it, it's to enhance the quality of life for our residents. So we want to put parks where they're most needed so that the majority, the overwhelming majority of the city can be within a 10-minute walk of a park. And we want the types of parks that people want. So in some places that'll be a playground with basketball courts. In some places it'll be a pickleball court. In some places it'll be a pocket prairie. In some places it'll be a traditional park with playground equipment. We want to give people what they want. And his process that he's developing right now is going to make sure that we have community input and give people what they need.
And with regards to the Harold Simmons Park that you were talking about, so where would this be, and what are the biggest challenges facing the city on getting this done?
So the Harold Simmons Park project is one that we've been talking about in the city for a while. It would be basically bringing the Trinity River Basin to life. So all along where the levees are right now, from West Dallas and Trinity Grove, between the Margaret Hunt Hill bridges and the Ronald Kirk pedestrian bridge, we'd be talking about building a state-of-the-art green space where families can come and do a whole range of activities, the traditional play areas, but also integrating technology into the park, having a place where there can be performances. It would be a 250-acre, just extremely future forward green space for our city. And so the idea is for it to be a place where the city can come together and where you can sort of bring together north and south and east and west right in the middle of our city. And it would even be something that I think visitors would actually be attracted to the city of Dallas to come and see. It would be so spectacular. So the idea is to try to get some money for that in the bond program if we can. And of course, private philanthropy would have to be leaned on pretty heavily to build this thing to the standards that we want. But it could be a transformative thing for Dallas.
And how are the plans going for the deck park in over I-35 in southern Dallas? And then also there was a lot of discussion about expanding Clyde Warren Park.
Yeah, both of those projects are going well. The Clyde Warren expansion is moving forward as planned, to my knowledge. And the Southern Gateway Park, not too long ago, we were out there celebrating the fact that the concrete's been poured for the foundation, and that project's well underway too. Those will both be incredibly transformative for the city. We've become a national leader in doing that. These over freeway deck parks have become sort of our thing. I think we're going to do even more of them. And so those are incredible opportunities. I couldn't be more excited about the direction the city is going in when it comes to innovative uses of space and creating more green spaces. We're a national leader in this already, and we're only going to get better.
And then you mentioned lowering property taxes. Obviously,
Yes.
this is a very big discussion in Austin right now. And over the summer is typically the time that the city manager is getting the budget ready for the next year. And so what is your message to the city manager when formulating the budget?
My message to the city manager and everyone in Dallas is the same. We have lowered the tax rate every year I've been mayor, 4 consecutive years, and I would like to see that continue, but I will go a step further. Lowering the tax rate is not enough. I want to actually deliver actual property tax relief on the city portion of your tax bill by having your city tax bill lower, have you pay less money in taxes than you paid last year. So I want a property tax rate reduction that's going to result in actual tax savings to our residents. And that's critical, Jack, because we want this to continue to be a place that people want to come and do business and they want to live. And I want us to be competitive with the other municipalities in our region. And the way we get there is by making sure that people are not taxed out of their homes, so to speak, and that businesses don't look around the region and say, well, Dallas has got the highest tax rate in the region. Let's be up north. And so I want to make sure that we actually have a discussion around taxes that is not just about lowering the rate, which we have done 4 consecutive years. Last year's rate reduction was the largest single year rate reduction in 40 years. And right now the tax rate is the lowest it's been in 15 years. My message to the city council, to the city manager is, it's not time for a victory lap on taxes. It's that we have momentum and our residents want to see us do more of what we've been doing. It's been successful in creating jobs. This area of the country is on fire economically. We've created more jobs in this area than 46 states. So we're doing something right, but we have one of the higher tax rates in the region. And in some ways we're lagging the region. And I'd like to see Dallas have the lowest tax rate in the region. And so that's our goal. And that's what we need to be working towards. So I think the voters, when they gave me 98.7% of their votes, were expressing some confidence in my vision on this. And I would hope that the city manager and the city council would join me in that.
And is there any calculation, any estimate at this point of how much it would actually cost the city for providing property tax relief that actually lowers someone's bills? Because it's not just about lowering the rate, because you still have property values that go up. So that's real money that you're talking about.
Yes, you're exactly right, Jack, and you're asking exactly the right question. And it's almost as though you have previewed my memo to the city manager, because that's exactly what I want to know. I want to know what that rate reduction would need to be to deliver actual relief to the taxpayers. We don't know that number yet, but we will know it. But you're asking the exact right question, because the secondary question is how you get there, and that's where the debate, in my opinion, ought to be at the horseshoe. Is what we have to, how we have to rein in our spending to achieve that, or what we have to do, what choices we have to make, what trade-offs are required to get to that rate. But we need to know what we need to do once we get these numbers to achieve actual relief in terms of what a taxpayer in Dallas is paying in taxes. That's really what I want us to be working toward, is to make our residents feel this rate reduction, but in the form of a lower tax bill.
I wanted to ask you about the ransomware attack against the city of Dallas, and how concerned are you that city employees, city council members, maybe yourself, had their information compromised by this attack?
Well, look, I will say first, Jack, that there is an active investigation going on, and so I'm not under any type of I want to make sure that I don't compromise an investigation on something very important. But what I feel comfortable saying is that in the meetings I've had with city manager staff, city attorney staff, our IT department, and I am in constant contact with these folks, I'm confident that we had software in place before this attack that has actually significantly limited the damage that this attack caused. I mean, this could have been a significantly worse situation had we not had the software in place that we did. That being said, it's a concern, and public safety is, as I said before, my top priority. And so cybersecurity is part of that. And so I've impressed upon city staff and the city manager that we need to be looking at this and seeing how we can improve and do even better. But I am convinced that it's being taken seriously. And really, that's all I can say at this point, because again, we don't want to compromise ourselves in any way by tipping our hand one way or the other about how we're handling this, because again, it's an active investigation and it's an ongoing situation.
But to your point, long term, does the city need to do more to boost its cybersecurity?
So, I mean, look, clearly, yes, we have to get better, but I want to be clear about that. We were not naked, so to speak, in terms of this attack. I mean, there's a whole range of preparedness on this issue, and some cities who've been hit with this type of attack have had to pay ransoms, but they had no protection, and they were really, truly at a situation where if they didn't pay, they were going to lose critical data, or they weren't going to be able to do this. That's not the situation we were in. We had software in place that mitigated the impact of this attack. And I can't go into much more detail than that, because I want to make sure our residents are protected and our city employees are protected. But I am saying that on the scale of preparedness, we were prepared, but can we be better prepared? Sure. Even in a victory, I mean, I'm a former athlete. I'll tell you, even in a win, there are things you can learn always. And so, sure, we are going to look at this situation and do an autopsy of what happened here and figure out ways to get better. But I'm convinced that we are doing everything we need to do to handle the situation and protect our residents and our employees.
And Mayor, last question very quickly, and I appreciate your time. Scooters are back in the city of Dallas. Your thoughts on that?
I've always liked scooters, to be honest with you. I know people have different opinions about it, but I try to shoot straight with folks. I think they're great. I think we probably will have to go on some sort of education campaign, maybe about where people need to leave them and how and scooter safety. But I'm all for different forms of mobility and transportation. I think they're fun. I think they're cool. and I'm glad they're back, but we just need to make sure that people are operating them in a safe manner, not discarding them, in random places. I've always been a supporter of scooters, but that's me personally. I know some people don't love them, but I think they're pretty cool.
Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Always, Jack. Thank you.
Coming up, Arlington Mayor Jim Ross shares his top priorities for a second term when Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas comes right back. Welcome back. Arlington Mayor Jim Ross won re-election last month, and his second term is now underway. We spoke with him recently about his top priorities. So you were re-elected and to a second term, and I wanted to know, your second term is already underway. What are your top three priorities?
Top three priorities really hasn't changed much, Jack. It's jobs, jobs, and jobs, to be honest with you. And how we go about getting those quality jobs for our residents involves a whole lot of levels of work. But the jobs is really what takes care of a lot of stuff. It helps with everything from crime to homelessness to affordable housing to you name it. Jobs is the answer to a lot of things.
And so what are you announcing any new jobs or any corporate relocations to Arlington?
We have a lot of things going on. There's a press release tomorrow about some exciting things happening with our General Motors plant here in Arlington. A press release happening with that, and I'll leave that for General Motors to explain what they're doing tomorrow. But it's safe to say that we've had a long-term relationship with GM, and we're excited about continuing that. We're continuing to build around the entertainment district, both office space, multifamily, to bring the type of living quarters that are necessary to have the livable, walkable, workable atmosphere. We have a redevelopment of a huge piece of real estate in North Arlington around the Lincoln Square project, where we have both office space, mixed use development coming in there, bringing more jobs. Tons of stuff happening. So,
how much of a magnet has the entertainment district started to pull in? Because it's taken a while. Obviously, we had the recession after the AT&T Stadium was built, and so it's taken a little bit. But do you feel like things are starting to really move here?
Yeah, I'm very excited about what's going on. We funded our Economic Development Corporation in July of 2021. And it has far exceeded our expectations. It was funded with a 1/4-cent sales tax here in Arlington. And let's be honest, the majority of that sales tax is coming from our entertainment district. It's coming from people coming into Arlington and spending money in hotels and events and things such as that. We're able to utilize those monies, which is millions and millions of dollars that we get for the Economic Development Corporation. We're able to utilize those to help small business, which is really the backbone of everything. So we've funded and helped fund a number of projects, Town North Shopping Center, Lincoln Square, those type of things, to help revitalize certain parts of towns, to give those small businesses the boost. And we're very excited about what we're able to do with that.
And I noticed on I-30, is that a new hotel going up?
It's the Drury. Yeah, it started before COVID hit. Once COVID hit, they shut down. Drury's an unusual brand of hotel because everything's in-house with them. They're financing the real estate, their construction, everything is right in-house. So once COVID restrictions were lifted, they had to finish another project down in Florida before they came here. But it's well underway now at Center and I-30. We're excited about them being here to help add more beds to the entertainment district.
Wanted to ask you about property taxes. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion going on down at the Texas Capitol on how to provide Texans relief. And I'm wondering, on a city level, as the city goes through its budgeting process, what is your message to the city manager as it relates to property taxes?
So, last year we reduced property taxes in Arlington by more than they've been reduced in over 30 years. We had a substantial reduction in property tax here in Arlington. But you have to understand also that the municipal property tax is a very small portion of the property tax. So you're looking at, the school districts and everything else that make up a much greater portion of the property tax. Some of the discussions about completely eliminating the property tax in Texas, I'll be candid, I don't understand how that would work in Texas. Normally, most states, you have a three-legged stool for taxes. You have your state income tax, property tax, and sales tax. Well, Texas, we don't have a state income tax. We have our property tax and we have our sales tax. And how municipalities or counties or the state for that matter can function by eliminating property tax as a whole, I find it going to be very challenging. We'll have to come up with other alternatives to make money for the state. So I'm all about trying to find those ways to reduce property taxes, and we're doing it here in Arlington. But I want to be careful about some of the discussions about the total elimination of them.
Yeah, I mean, state leaders, when they have these discussions, they talk about eliminating property taxes. What they're really talking about is eliminating the maintenance and operations portion of the property tax as it relates to school districts, not to municipal.
That's right.
City and county. And so, but yes, there is certainly a lot of discussion about that. Wanted to ask you about violent crime in your city. How is that working out as far as the police department strategy to reduce it?
We're very pleased to announce that crime is on the decline, both violent crime and property crimes here in Arlington. We're one of the few big cities in the country that can actually say that, but we've seen a slight tick down in the violent and property crimes here in Arlington this last year.
And to what do you attribute that?
Well, I got to give the credit to our police department, our new police chief, Al Jones. He's second to none. He's really gotten back to significant programs that connect the community with the police. And it's working tremendously. So I think Chief Jones has just been doing great over there.
And I also wanted to ask you about education, because I know that you have worked very closely with the school districts within your city with regards to how to improve education. So how is that progressing in your mind?
It's going really well. We created what's called the Mayor's Education Coalition that for the first time has brought together the school districts, Mansfield, Kennedale, and Arlington, along with the charter schools, along with the private schools and the homeschooling association, pre-K with TCC and UTA. And we said, listen, we all have the same goal in common, and that's to do the best we can for our kids. So we're working together on a collaborative effort to come up with ways to identify and strategize about those common ground areas that we can handle, such as school safety. School safety is going to be the same no matter whether you're in a private school or a public school or a charter school. It's going to be important to ensure that our kids are safe. So we intend on launching the See Something, Say Something campaign throughout all of the Arlington schools this summer. And it's going well. We're seeing some good excitement on there. And for the first time, we're starting to see different organizations reaching out to one another and saying, hey, listen, can I use this, or can I borrow this? And the ultimate benefactor of those things are our kids. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go with us.
Arlington Mayor Jim Ross, thank you so much for updating us on what's going on in Arlington. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack. Best of luck. Take care now.
That's all for this week's Eye on Politics. I'm Jack Fink. Thank you so much for joining us. You're watching CBS News Texas.